Hello, and welcome to my big-ass review of the entire Paper Mario series. There's a lot of ground to cover, so let's not waste any more time. Paper Mario begins with what should be a familiar premise. The brothers are invited to a party at the castle, where Mario proceeds to get nearly blackout drunk and forcibly sodomizes Luigi. Where Bowser shows up and kidnaps Princess Peach. What a twist! But that's not why it's familiar to me. It's because they reused the exact same setup and premise as in Mario RPG. Game begins in a castle you've been to before in past Mario games. There's a one-on-one fight with Bowser. Mario is flung from castle, and your overall objective is to collect the 7 stars so you can make your way back into the castle where the game began. They really did just copy RPG's homework. The difference is you're fighting Bowser again and not a weird sword thing. If you let the title screen play out, it shows him stealing something called the Star Rod, which is, in his own words, able to grant any wish in the whole wide world, which if true, then why does he only use it one time? Does he just wish to be, quote, invincible and then never thinks to use it again? Why doesn't he just wish that Mario is dead or that Peach loves him, or at least for a hand? Why does he trust his slobs of underlings to guard the star spirits? You know, Bowser, if you wanted to win, you should have just kept them all up in the sky with you. But this goes back to the age-old video game dissonance where if Bowser really wanted to win, then why doesn't the original Super Mario start like this? It doesn't really matter anyway. The plot of Paper Mario is less complex than the pop-up books it's attempting to emulate. The premise of this game means almost nothing. This party at the beginning, however, works well as, well, I don't want to call it foreshadowing because it's really not, but you see all these different races and ethnicities of Toad at the party, hinting at all the wonderful locations and people you're going to see throughout the game. It's cool, you get a little taste of the adventure to come. It continues the Mario RPG tradition of fleshing out the standard Mario enemy fare, introducing new places to the Mario universe you would never see in the traditional games, showing you that Koopas have lives outside of walking off cliffs. They get married, have giant shell-shaped houses. Just having these races be friends, not foes, was kind of novel for the time. Of course, it was more novel when Mario RPG did it, or when Mario 64 did it. I mean, this was the generation of Lakitu following you around with a camera levels of kitsch. So we have that level of cuteness personified by a twink. Yes, really, twink. Nintendo, you can't just do that. Twink is a name that I'm pretty sure would get auto-filtered in a modern Nintendo game, but you know, it was 2000, the internet hadn't ruined everything yet. This was pre-9/11. There were no security checks as to what you could name your character. And sure, what the hell, why not name Peach's sidekick Twink? His role are like those letters from Mario 3. You remember Princess Toadstool would write you one in between each world, each containing a helpful item? That's what he does. He's Peach's messenger. Then at the end, Bowser smacks the shit out of him, and everyone cheered. Even Peach and Mario. It's crazy. Your entire party is made up of reformed Mario baddies, such as Goombario, who is purportedly Mario's biggest fan. Yeah. Who would have thought a Goomba was Mario's biggest fan? Shouldn't I be like Hitler to these people? I don't know, isn't this a little bit like if the biggest David Duke fan was a young Barack Obama? This doesn't sit right with me. And this all plays into a classic logic problems that exists in a lot of RPGs, which have civilized versions of what are historically hostile races. This one family of Goombas are personified. They nurse you back to health after falling out of the castle. They each have distinct, recognizable human characteristics. But then on the other hand, you also have this army of faceless, copy-pasted vanilla enemy Goombas, which are still in the game. It's fucked up. Are these Goombas less like people and more like wild dogs? Are some Goombas less worthy of humanity than others? Do these Goombas have thoughts, minds, opinions, like the ones in Goombario's family? Anyway, who else we got? There's Boring Koopa. I think that's his name, actually. Bombette, who we meet in prison, and she gives up her fucking life blasting you out of there. It's actually really messed up. She's only in your party for like 14 seconds before blowing up. Believe it or not, Bomb-Bombs sacrificing their lives for the sake of Goomba Hitler over here becomes a running theme throughout these games. There's a real sex pot of a ghost that we take to a motel. Toad buddy, you mind? Okay, you're just gonna stand there? Is that standard practice in the Mushroom Kingdom? You just go to sleep at a Toad house and he stands in the room and watches? Come on, buddy, three's a crowd. What else? You get a fish, you get the sun. I don't know. They don't matter anyway because none of these are actual characters. In Paper Mario, your party members function more like Metroid power-ups. Boring exists to hit the switches on the other side of gaps. Para-boring exists to carry you across these small chasms just out of Mario's jumping range. The sun exists so you can see in dark rooms, obviously. The fish is so you can swim, etc., etc. This game is filled with gatekeeps, each requiring either a power-up or one of these buddy characters. You see, Bowser doesn't play fair, and they'll pull all sorts of diabolical shit to make sure that Mario can't rescue the 7 stars, such as placing one singular block in his way. Yeah, that'll show him. Bastards. In order to get past the block, you need a hammer, and the game pulls this trick all the time. In order to get past insert obstacle here, you need to have insert partner character there. It's a game of locked doors and keys, things like a small body of water being a door, and your cheap friend being the key. Because that's all the partner characters really do in this game. They exist to open these locked doors and not much else. Of course, they help out in combat and they represent a few new options you get while fighting, but what I'm trying to say is that most of them don't have much to say and function as an extension of Mario himself. They aren't really characters. That is with one exception. Mario's biggest fan himself. Now, he doesn't really help us in any practical way. He's basically like the scout or scholar in a Final Fantasy game, in that you can ask him to tell you about each and every enemy in the game, and then you can see their HP. Sort of a lame ability, so he's kind of by far the worst in a fight, unless you're really good at multi-bounce, and he doesn't help out in the overworld at all. He doesn't open any doors, so one would think that he would be by far the worst partner, right? Except no, he is by far the best partner because he's the only actual character of the bunch. Goombario has dialogue for almost everything and everyone in the game. Mario gets 8 different sidekicks. 7 of them are Metroid power-ups, and 1 of them is an actual character. 7 of them are for opening doors, 1 of them is for actually enjoying the game. When I hear people trash modern Paper Mario for its lack of story and characters, then in the same breath praise to high heaven this game and Thousand Year Door, I don't know, it's not as if the original Paper Mario is packing much in this department to begin with. Even compared to Mario RPG, Paper Mario feels a lot more sanitized. Now, I don't doubt that the series is going to get worse in this regard, but this game is already a little more restrained. Mario RPG had Squaresoft original creation monstrosities all over the place, where Paper Mario's idea of innovative characters are like 4 Koopas who are supposed to be like the Ninja Turtles, and another Koopa who is like the sitcom dad version of Indiana Jones, who are both fine, but it's not like this is the paragon of storytelling. Despite all that, I actually enjoyed this game a lot more than I expected. In fact, I might go as far as to say that this is even better than Mario RPG. Shocking, right? The Super Nintendo RPG guy prefers Paper Mario. And it's because this brings a whole lot more in terms of gameplay and structure. Mario RPG was more or less like a traditional Mario game in this way. There's a world map, and you mostly go through the game linearly, completing the game stage by stage. Sometimes you need to go back and forth between town and whatever the dungeon of the day is, but still, you go through the game as if it's Mario World. Paper Mario, however, is one continuous world, a design decision I respect so much more. more. This game is built around a central hub area with branching paths, each leading to one of the 7 stars you have to get. Sort of like an octopus, or blooper rather. It's still entirely linear. You don't have access to all these branching areas at the same time, but having a central home location where you get familiar with the NPCs, do side quests, some of which contain their own little subplots, which are at least as engaging as the core game itself. I prefer this game because of Toad Town. It's a fantastic area with layers like an onion. As you gain new partner characters, aka new keys, you slowly unravel more and more of the town, which in turn exposes more and more of the world. Although there still is a rigid formula Paper Mario adheres pretty strictly to. Mario learns about the new location of a star, Mario leaves Toad Town on a linear path towards it, you meet a new character which allows you to cross a type of obstacle you weren't able to before, you go through a pre-dungeon area, followed by a proper dungeon, fight a boss, rescue a star, go back to Toad Town, and repeat until you have all 7 stars. Then you go back to Peach's castle and finish the game. When on these paths, it becomes an incredibly planned out game. Now, I don't mean that as in the design is amazing. It's okay, I guess. I mean more that you're given zero freedom. You do and see things in exactly the order the game wants you to. Paper Mario is a game where you walk down hallways. You just happen to see them from the side instead of straight on. It's not like Mario 64 or Quest 64 or something where you have the freedom to roam around or anything, but it's not 2D either like another similarly themed N64 game. Paper Mario is like 2.75D, and the paper motif plays into this. The whole game is supposed to be like a pop-up book, almost as if you're constantly looking inside of a diorama. I like it. Could they have done more with the concept? Yeah, sure, but it's worth noting that this wasn't originally called Paper Mario in Japan, so as something the North American marketing team came up with, I'd say the glove fits. The name describes the game's style fairly well. The mix of 2D sprites inside of a polygon-based 3D world, believe it or not, was kind of a novel thing back then, and it gives the game a unique style. It didn't look like anything else, which is good. Paper Mario was instantly identifiable by a blurry 2000 screenshot from a crappy CRT alone, which wasn't always the case with every game, and it has that going for it. There's also how they kidified the turn-based RPG genre and improved upon the action combat system introduced in Mario RPG. Numbers are kept incredibly small, with your standard attack beginning at 1 and ending around 6. It's always 100 experience points for a level up. There's no variation in damage values, so you always know exactly how much damage both you and your opponent are going to do when planning out moves. It's all good stuff, but the best stuff is how they changed up the action mechanics. In Mario RPG, it was always just a button press, and I was kinda ho-hum on the whole system, if you remember. But in Super Mario RPG, holy shit, watch this! You hit A, and it does more damage! I'm actually pretty indifferent towards timed hits, if you can believe it. Here it's dynamic, each attack having its own action command you have to master. It could be timing multiple button presses, could be moving the analog stick in a specific way, or mashing a button as fast as you can, among other things. They smartly also made it tougher to defend than attack. Not only is the button timing more tight, but it's just easier to learn your attacks than it is to adapt to your enemies all the time. If only because you don't spend as much time with any one enemy in this game than you are to spend with your own moves. This results in you being able to reliably count on extra attack damage when calculating, and defending becomes a nice bonus if you're able to pull it off. All of this is fine. The combat system is fine. The badge system, it's fine. But this game isn't good because of that. It's good because it's funny. And it's funny in like an understated kind of way too. Moments such as that old Koopa only giving you a single coin for helping him do his errand. Or the scene where the Boos are freaking out over their friends being eaten. Oh no, not Herbert! As if we're supposed to know who the hell Herbert is. Shoot, or just naming one of the supporting characters Twink. You can't tell me that wasn't a joke. Game likes to ask you obvious questions, daring you to pick the wrong option, such such as this bird asking if you're Mario, because if you are, he's going to beat you up. Or this reoccurring bit in Chapter 7 where you're supposed to pick out which one of your party members is the real one and which one are imposters. You see, there are these shape-shifting beings that turn into your party members. It's the classic mix-up gag. You need to pick which one is your real friend. So they do this bit a few times. It's that boom! One time they show up and they transform into a bunch of different characters throughout the game, so it's patently obvious which one is your party member. It's pretty funny, and it's daring me to hit the wrong one on purpose. Even just some of the graphical assets got a chuckle out of me. I mean, look at this seagull. Look at how fucking doofy he is. He's supposed to be like paper mache or something, but come on. Any game brazen enough to include this model can't be all that bad. In the end, Paper Mario wraps up exactly how you think it will. Mario obtains the 7 stars, kicks Bowser's ass, or jumps on his head, whatever. Bada bing, bada boom. That's the game. There's nothing resembling or approximating anything close to a plot twist, and nothing exciting ever really happens. But still, for a baby game for babies, it's pretty alright. A 93 on Metacritic alright? No, not even close. I don't know about that, but it's the best RPG on the N64 without a doubt. Although when your competition are Quest and Ogre Battle 64, that's not really a high bar. It obviously isn't 1/3 the game of something like Final Fantasy VII or any of the best stuff that was out on PlayStation. Plus, much like Mario RPG, it was a super late release for the system. In fact, only 11 Nintendo 64 games came out after Paper Mario, so it didn't really move the needle in terms of how well the N64 did sales-wise. This didn't change the trajectory of the N64 is what I'm trying to say. It was too little too late. Solid game, but let's move on to the next one. And by the next one, I mean Super Paper Mario, because I'm saving Thousand Year Door until the end. Oh, hello, hello, hello. You either clicked on this video because you like what I do and you know who I am, and you're interested in what I'm saying, or you have no idea and you just wanted to hear somebody talk about Paper Mario. So, the thing with me is that my main shtick is I review old RPGs. Old as in older than this game, older than Paper Mario 64. This is considered new in the whole chronology of my channel. Not that you care if you're one of those people that just click because Paper Mario, you just want to hear what somebody says about Paper Mario, but I just feel it's important to disclose where I'm coming at from this whole series. So, I am not a huge Paper Mario fan. I have not played most of these games as of me speaking right now. Obviously, when you're seeing this video, I will have finished all of them and my thoughts will be in the video later. But right now, the only 2 games that I've played to completion are the first and the last. These ones in the middle, most of them I've never touched. These 3 games, I've never even seen 1 second of. I've never pressed a button. I don't know anything about them. This is the only other one I've even played. It was one of the first Wii games I got as a preteen, but for some reason I never finished it. Now why is that? Yay! Alright, so I gotta get 2 things out of this stupid storage unit. 1, gotta find the Wii U. 2, gotta find a 3DS charger, because I know where my 3DS is, don't know where a charger is, so need it if I'm gonna play Sticker Star. Nintendo Power, anybody? Oh boy, there's gotta be a 3DS charger in here. This has to be. What else could this be? Yeah, let's go. Bingo! Let's check this one. Yoshi. Wow. Ooh. It's clicky too. Dude, what if I shot Yoshi? Ooh, here it is. Here's the Wii U. I always joke that The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask is a game of 1,000 video essays because it seems like every single hipster on the internet and their aunt have a long-winded thesis about how it's actually an allegory for the 4 stages of grief, or how it's about coping with trauma, or about the dark symbolism, or about how Link was actually dead the entire time. There's a new one uploaded every day. Everyone with a YouTube channel, and heck, even everyone without, has a Majora's Mask essay buried deep within them. Each one with varying degrees of intelligent points being made, production quality, it all runs the gambit. Some are very well done, some are stupid bullshit. If Majora's Mask is the game of 1,000 video essays, Super Paper Mario might be the game of 1001. Holy shit! I had absolutely no idea that such a cult of personality had formed around this game in the last few years. After finishing it, I gave a few of them a watch. Some of them are way too fucking long, but who am I to judge? I mean, look at this video's runtime. See, that was called breaking the fourth wall. I just brought attention to the fact that you, right now, happen to be watching a YouTube video, and I, myself, are aware of the fact that you are indeed watching said YouTube video. I can see why all of this might happen. Super Paper Mario is, if nothing else, fucking bizarre. It is one of the strangest games Nintendo has ever put out. Coming at it from both angles, comparing this to modern Nintendo or comparing it to the original Paper Mario. It's such a whiplash in terms of tone, content, and really overall just how they treated their flagship brand. Super Paper Mario is a game where Mario actually does do drugs and then go to hell before he dies.
If you do drugs, you go to hell before you die.
It's so strange. This has more in common with modern independent platformers that are actually about mental health. It has more in common with things like Newground Flash animations or 2000s video game webcomics droning on about ludonarrative dissonance than it does with anything else with Mario on the tin. It has more in common with something like Earthbound or even Undertale than it does with the original Paper Mario. And I don't know what I expected. I remembered that it wasn't really an RPG, but I certainly didn't expect 2007 Nintendo, fresh off Wii Gosh Darn Sports, to have put out this weird, experimental art game, the kind of thing to have hordes of awkward 17-year-olds froth at the mouth over, and base their entire personality off of. It missed that gravy train by about 6 or 7 years, but upon reevaluation, those awkward 17-year-olds have grown up and rediscovered this game. Not that it's a bad thing, I mean, I was an awkward 17-year-old, just like Super Paper Mario is right now. But what the hell is this game? I just played it, and even I'm not sure. Let's call it a puzzle platformer, I guess. That's sort of the best I can do, but there's also a huge emphasis on humor. Why don't video games have a comedy genre? You know, like in movies, you have tragedies, comedies, which branch into black comedy, romantic comedy, cringe comedy. There's a whole family of comedic movie genres, so I suppose this is a comedic puzzle platformer? It also has a twang of that retro 80s throwback aesthetic. Not genuinely, more like in that corporate late 2000s kind of way. I constantly had to remind myself while playing that this sort of shit had not yet been done to fucking death and back in 2007. Nowadays, if I see a game with the fakest ass pixel art, I wince so hard because it's such a cheap looking aesthetic. But 2007 was a different world. I think this game is ugly now, but it would have been much less trite back then. I get what they were going for. It's supposed to look like a collage, you know, like in second grade when they had you cut up magazine pieces and glue it to paper with macaroni art or whatever, but it ends up coming across more like a cheap Flash game than anything else. There are never-ending fourth wall breaks. An NPC will say, press A, and then chase it down with something like, oh, well, what's A? I don't know. What the person playing the game does. Waka waka. This game's sense of humor reminds me of early to mid-2000s Cartoon Network, where fourth wall breaks were the height of comedy, general absurdism, and light asshole-ish humor were at the forefront. And you can't tell me that this bit where that cloud launches you into space wasn't straight out of Ed, Edd n Eddy. We have one of those Jar Jar Binks or Fred Fredburger pieces of shit. Sillier character than we've ever had before. This annoying octopus in the space world. Sure, I'll help you, but first I gotta go potty. Ooh, I really have to go. Then he gets hungry and you have to go on a quest to get him a candy bar. 'Twas the style of the time. Have a sidekick character who is as annoying as possible. Thankfully, just like Fred Fredburger, he's only in a few episodes, one chapter of the game. Super Paper Mario is prickly, but oftentimes that's the joke. There's this bit where you have to run on a hamster wheel for about 5 real-life minutes, which is straight up the Earthbound waterfall gag. It's a meta joke. Video games are supposed to be fun, right? Well, I'll show you fun. Fuck you. Hit this block 100 times. Run on this wheel. Hold right for 5 minutes, you pathetic bitch. And that's only after you figure out that this is what you're actually supposed to do. No doubt you're going to run around exhausting every other possibility before you resort to this. It's funny. The people who made this loved Earthbound, and you can tell. Hell, the "but thou must" moment can actually end with, well, wait a second. Actually, for all the Nintendo normal babies in the room, I probably have to explain what that even means. In the original Dragon Warrior for NES, when you rescue the princess from the green dragon, she asks you to take her to the castle. Then there's a yes or no prompt. If you say no, she responds, "but thou must," infinitely until you finally say yes. Ironically, you don't actually have to take her to the castle, you can beat the game while still carrying her, but it also means you'd have to finish the rest of the game without saving, but whatever, I'm getting off topic. This is known as a "but thou must" moment in an RPG. When they ask you a question, giving you a choice, but you actually have to say yes. There is no real choice, because it will just keep looping forever if you don't. That's the trope. Super Paper Mario is the subversion, because at the beginning of this game, Merlin asks if you want to save the world, and you can just fucking say no, and you get a game over. Seriously, the whole game restarts, and you have to watch the opening cutscene all over again. There's a gamer lizard who represents exactly the kind of mouth breathers who would go on to make snarky video reviews of this game online. I will never accuse this of not having jokes, even if it reuses some of them from the original Paper Mario, such as falling asleep during a lengthy lore dump, or a villain asking you which one of these things you don't like and then having some of the options be mushrooms and power-ups and shit. Hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If you have a good gag, why not reuse it? On a completely unrelated note, it was awfully cute for this game to include pictures of your parties from the last games in the background. I mean, that's a fun reference, right? Another good one is the bit where you have to manually, repeatedly type "please" into a text box for some asshole until he finally tells you the solution to a puzzle, which involves 25 steps that you have to meticulously write down and perform perfectly. Why would they do this? Because fuck you, it's funny. And that's the general attitude Super Paper Mario has. It's a fourth wall breaking, early 2000s Cartoon Network styled humor having, Earthbound inspired, fuck the player attitude, rule breaking cocktail. But that's not why people are making 5-hour-long video essays about it these days. Everyone seemingly splooshes so hard over this game because of the third act plot twist. In between chapters, this game will interrupt you with these vignettes. It's just white text on a black background, plainly telling the player what appears to be an unrelated love story about star-crossed lovers broken apart by this guy's asshole family. Some real Romeo and Juliet shit. Now, kids with no real exposure to media and not fully developed brains will take all of this at face value, not really questioning how it would connect to anything. And when these things come to a head, are completely blown away when it becomes relevant to the story. But adult-brained me, with so many movies, games, and pieces of media under my belt, was able to piece this together instantaneously the first time it happened. Not because I'm smart or anything, but because as an adult with a YouTube channel about video games, my first instinct is to question why. Why is this included in the game? It's a complete non sequitur, and the only thing that makes any kind of sense is if it's going to tie into the game later, and taking the logic a step further, the only two characters it really makes sense to be are this amnesiac butterfly that's flying around with you, and the main villain of the game. who we've already met on multiple occasions to this point. Which is, of course, what ends up happening, and 11-year-old brains across the globe exploded, apparently. But it is all quite a bit of a shock, though, right? On like another more meta level. Nintendo put out a love story disguised as a goofy experimental comedy platformer. But not only that, that's not the whole kebab here. They added the fucking doomerism strain. And that's what really sends these internet weirdos over the edge. We've found our Majora's Mask common link. Why are there so many video essays about these two games in particular? It's because you're staring down the face of death the entire fucking game. In Majora's Mask, you look up, oh, gee whiz, it's the fucking apocalypse. And most of the game is about people grappling with this reality. Super Paper Mario does the exact same thing. There's this black hole ever present in the background, which is the cosmic force we're crusading against. One by one, it consumes worlds, ending all life in its path. As the game goes by, it gets bigger and bigger, reminding you more and more about this reality's impending doom. Eventually, the sun is going to fucking explode, and everything you have ever known will not fucking matter. Nobody lives forever. You could have a heart attack. You could be pulverized by a scary moon face. You could be sucked up by a purple stroked hole in the background. Life is worthless. We will all die. Now come play Super Paper Mario. Then, of course, Mario goes to hell, runs some errands, and the game pulls at you a little more here because the MacGuffin you're after ends up being the character you just spent an entire chapter escort questing, and they have to give up their life to help your cause. Then one of the villain's underlings ends up being the true final boss, which is a trope as old as video games themselves, but to be fair, they set it up pretty well here. You get scenes of him undercutting our main antagonist scattered throughout the game. Again, kid brains will be shocked, but adult-brained me figured this out pretty early and would have been surprised if this didn't end up happening. All of this is great stuff. Super Paper Mario isn't just some people's favorite Paper Mario game, it's some people's favorite game, period. And I can totally see why. It's a free spirit with humor, an unexpected love story, and a sense of impending dread hanging over the entire thing. It throws so much at the wall. How could I not respect it? However, Super Paper Mario has to be one of the biggest pieces of shit I have ever seen come from Nintendo themselves. Now, I've played some nonsense, and I'm not going to pretend that this compares to any of that. It doesn't stoop to anywhere near the bottom of the barrel, but Nintendo is a different animal. Their games may have failings, but even the worst first or second party Nintendo games have a baseline standard of quality that is at least met, and this has to be at the lower end of the Nintendo spectrum, and it all boils down to one simple thing. Was I having fun playing this game? No! In fact, I wanted to quit and would have every 20 minutes or so if I wasn't making this video. It's not a well-designed game, and it all starts with Mario himself. In the regular series, there's inertia, momentum. Before designing any levels, Nintendo and Miyamoto made damn well sure that just controlling Mario with no obstacles was fun in a vacuum. At its core, Super Paper Mario is a platformer where the platforming feels like it was sloppily slapped together to pad out the game. Mario still moves as if he's in a turn-based RPG, but he's not. If the platforming was purely transactional, that would be okay. But these are your meat and potatoes. This is what you spend most of your time doing. I feel like I'm playing the fake game with the bunny in those GameStop advertisements. It's a Super Mario platformer that feels like shit. That sucks. And don't get me started on the level design because it's fucking horrible. If the original Paper Mario game was a game where you walk down hallways, Super Paper Mario is a game where you take one step down said hallway, come to a dead end, flip to 3D, don't see anything, walk backwards, flip again, then walk back to the dead end, point your Wii remote at the screen to scan for hidden objects, try blowing up the wall, try hitting it with a hammer, throw every ability you have at the dead end until you realize that you actually have to backtrack a dozen screens where one specific NPC will tell you the super duper secret code for the Macarena dance you have to do to progress. Every single room in the whole game is a puzzle. There is no moment where you're allowed to just walk from one point to another. No fucking wonder Kid Me never got anywhere in this game. Every other room is another part where you could potentially get stuck forever. Now, the original Paper Mario didn't really have any puzzles per se, it was more just recognition. If you see a cracked wall, you bombed it. If you saw a little dock, you swam across it. If you saw a switch on the other side of a gap, you hit it with boring the Koopa. There was no real thought required, it was caveman stuff, which is fine because it's a low-stake game for kids. But with Super, no. This is our Oscar bait art game. We've elevated to another level. This is our magnum opus, you see. So we gotta fill it with as many annoying roadblocks as possible under the guise of puzzles. I'm gonna call it over-designed, and yes, I really am complaining that this puzzle platformer has too many puzzles, because they're all the lamest shit. This game loves hiding the solution to a puzzle in the background 10 rooms before where you actually need to use it. There are countless points where the entire puzzle is, hey, remember that pattern of colored blocks? Or the order of specific symbols showed up in? Or the gamer lizard's pin number? Fucking remember that from 20 minutes ago? I hope you wrote it down, cause you need it now. Like, doing this once is fine, but to go back to this well continuously, and it's never just a one-off. They'll introduce one slightly annoying puzzle, and then just fucking repeat it over and over and over again throughout the whole game. And it's a minor annoyance every time. Eventually, these minor annoyances just add up, and they make me not want to play your stupid game anymore. There's never a moment off in this game. There's always another menial roadblock that usually isn't that hard to figure out, but it's exhausting. Sometimes I just want to do some mindless nonsense or actually get wrapped up in the humor and premise of this whole thing. But you can't. Moments like that are so fleeting because most of your time is spent just ramming your head up against a wall, trying every ability you have. At every moment you have, just trying to inch your way forward. This is not a very snackable game. It feels like just as you're getting going, there is a never-ending cascade of bullshit just in your way. That fuck the player because it's funny attitude, well, that works both ways. It's cute when it is funny, but when it's not, it fucking sucks. And the worst part, the absolute worst part, are all of the goddamn door mazes. Holy shit! Every chapter in this game has a stupid door maze, sometimes multiple. And this is some like first level Mario Maker nonsense. If you've watched my channel, there's a chance you've heard this spiel before, but door mazes only really work when they're presented from a top-down or 3D perspective. When you try to do them in a side-scroller, it doesn't work because you're not building a mental map of how this area fits together because there's no logic at play. Doors just teleport you from one spot to another. There's no cohesion. If you could see the game from above, you would be able to see and feel out how these areas all connect. Most good Zelda dungeons are about testing your spatial awareness, learning how a complex environment fits together, piecing together a mental map. From the side, you don't get any of that. You go through a door and you might as well have been transported to fucking Mars, because they're just teleportation squares. There's no need for any of it to logically fit together, and they don't. They're just disjointed rooms you're continuously ping-ponging between until you eventually stumble your way to the end. It's awful, and this game is chock full of them. Shit, even when Zelda made a side-scroller that one time, they didn't fucking use any door mazes. They were all these labyrinthian spreads where you could actually map shit out. They knew better back in fucking 1987. 20 years later, and Nintendo's regressed. Ugh. And the worst one has to be the Great Door Maze in the Sky, because it's also a fucking scavenger hunt. Another thing this game makes you do way too many times. What happens in this case is Peach falls asleep, which is again another running theme throughout this game. Low stakes problem of the day arises just as quickly as its resolved melodrama. This example I'm about to outline happens a bunch of times throughout the game, just insert a different problem and a different character. Peach falls asleep and you have to navigate this humongous door maze that's built like a fucking doodle jump level, only to find hidden fruit trees so you can grab one, feed it to Peach, just to find out that it's the wrong gosh darn fruit, and there's like 5 or 6 different kinds, but only one of these specific ones will wake her up. This shit sucks. It's not enough to get to the end of this stupid maze, but now I gotta find some dumbass hidden fruit trees, and after all that, after Peach wakes up, you talk to some guy, and he's like, oh, you want to go further? Well, you can't, because the bad guys blew up the bridge, and in order to rebuild it, you have to turn your ass around to find Reebity, Bloobity, and fucking Yebbity. My eyes were rolling out of my fucking skull at this point. There is never a moment in this game where you can just go from point A to point B. You can never take a breath. You can never just enjoy what you're doing. There's always another roadblock. There's always a hidden door. There's always some pattern to write down. There's always some fucking trivial bullshit you have to turn around and flip everywhere in the fucking stage like an asshole just to find. And why is the 3D mode timed? Half the shit in this game they hide in the 3D mode. They designed it as if it's supposed to be an equal part of the game, but in practice it's not. It's clearly not because they put a fucking timer on it. The minute-to-minute playing of this game was like pulling teeth. I did not enjoy most of my time with it. I already don't especially like playing the Wii because the wire for my sensor bar snapped years ago, so to play this I had to resort to pointing my Wiimote at the Wii U gamepad like a loser. And then my Wii remote wouldn't register my button presses properly until halfway through the game because I hadn't used it in so long and I had to shake the rust off. The plus and minus buttons still stick a little bit after finishing the game. Now, are these fair criticisms against Super Paper Mario? Not really. But I also don't care. What are you, the YouTube game criticism police? I don't like the Wii, and this being a Wii game means that I'm predisposed to not like it as much. Also, did they make it 2D because you have to hold the Wii remote sideways? I know the lore is that it was originally a GameCube game or whatever, and they adapted it for Wii, and it's based on the fucking, like, Bowser part in Thousand Year Door. I've never played Thousand Year Door, but, you know, I've watched a couple of these video essays, and they all mention the same fucking story. Is that why they changed it to a sloppy 2D platformer because of the gosh darn Wii remote? That's a shame if that's what happened. And I'm aware that most of these are just sour grapes and that my issues with this game are a me problem, but it was anti-fun. I went in with my good time hat on and it just eroded away at it bit by bit by bit before I was just fucking pissed off at this thing. The writing is cute, but it's also the type of shit that would have spoken to 11-year-old me much more than it does now. This is a kid's game and I am a grizzled old man. It's such a shame that when I was the age to properly enjoy this game, it was much too prickly for me to get anywhere. I'm about 99% sure that I only got to chapter 2 and then got stuck because I forgot you could use Peach to float over this gap, because it took me longer than I'd like to admit to remember that in this playthrough. Super Paper Mario is an interesting beast, but the bottom line is it's a game that's much more fun to talk about than it is to actually play. Overanalyzing Super Paper Mario, picking apart the symbolism, calling the stupid twist that happens in the third act the most genius thing ever, is much more fun than the dog shit platforming. Even though I hated this game, and I did, I'd still give it a recommend, because you gotta have a take, right? This game is so divisive. And of course you wouldn't want to be one of those people who blindly love or hate a game without playing it, right? Speaking of, it's about time I moved on. It's time for this game. So, I don't have a captured 3DS. You're getting unscripted me with B-roll on top, which is a good thing, because scripted me can be a bit much sometimes. You're getting a little looser, a more relaxed review of this one. Now let me divulge the two main reasons why I wanted to do this video in the first place. The first one was because it was an excuse to play through the Paper Mario series, because I never had before. I had only played the first and the last games, but hadn't touched any of the ones in the middle. I didn't have to buy any of these. I just had them and never played them. So it really was just an excuse to get me to play some games that I otherwise wouldn't have, because if I'm not playing games for the purposes of making a YouTube video, oftentimes it feels like I'm wasting my time. So it really was just an excuse to do these, but I had a second, more sinister reason, and that is because if you spend any time online, if you spend any time in the Nintendo YouTube circles, you know about the discourse of this series. You know that Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door is God's gift to gaming. And you know that this Paper Mario Sticker Star is the absolute worst thing that has ever been created. It ruined the entire series. This game is so bad that it ruined the one that came after it and the one that came after that. That's what everyone says, but with my only two entry points into the series being the first and the last games, I knew that I really liked this one. In fact, I knew that I liked this one more than this one. Crazy, right? So I thought I had an opportunity to cut against the grain here. So there's a natural contrarianism in my brain where if I see the popular opinion is one way, I want to go in the other direction. With this series, I thought I saw an excellent opportunity to do that. So this game, when they get to this game, this is when the YouTube reviewer is supposed to go, "Oh, not Sticker Star, anything but that, oh." And they're supposed to act like they really don't want to play it. This is the one where my evil clone comes through the door and he forces me to play this game tied up to a chair or something. But no, for me, aside from Thousand Year Door, this was the game I was most excited to play. This was the one I was most excited to see what all the hubbub was about. And I left sorely disappointed. I hate to say it. I really hate to say it because I really wanted to be a contrarian with this. Paper Mario Sticker Star is not great. It's not great at all. It's in fact, it's bad. It's downright bad. It's by far the worst Paper Mario game I've played so far. Alright, where do I even begin? I think the worst part about this game is that it's not even bad in interesting ways. It's bad in the most mundane, not easy to make fun of ones. So, it's been well documented. The rap on this game, if you listen to anyone, is that Nintendo sucked all of the personality out of Super. Super was a wild stallion. This is one of the craziest games I've ever played. They took all of the crazy energy out of this, and you're left with just kind of a soulless husk going through the motions of what a Paper Mario game should be. And that's an opinion I wholeheartedly agree with. I think one of the biggest contrasts is Bowser, the character Bowser. You know who Bowser is, obviously. In this game, he's like a wise-ass, smart-talking, kind of badass. He joins your party, he's like the best party member in combat. He has some good moments. They bring him back in Sticker Star as the villain again, just like in the first game. In the first game, as a villain, he has some good moments too. In Sticker Star, he doesn't even talk. The biggest problem with this game hit me when I was playing through the first world. So, Super Paper Mario was like a wild and crazy game with these wacky characters and a story that comes completely out of left field. Super Paper Mario doesn't have a story. From beginning to end, there is no story. It's Bowser kidnaps the princess, you get the princess back by getting the MacGuffins. That's all it is. That's the whole entire story. And that sucks. Like, that's a disappointment right off the bat. So, if you're going to admit that your game doesn't have a story, it means that the nuts and bolts that you're building your product on top of need to be stronger than they were before. And they're really not in Sticker Star. And the defining moment to me was a eureka moment I had while playing through the first area. Well, the first world anyway. I don't think it was literally the first area. So, the main gimmick with this game is that it's a turn-based RPG. They went back to turn-based, but all of your attacks are consumable. As in, you use an attack once and you never have it again. You either need to go to the store to buy more attacks, or you just find them. The attacks are everywhere. They're stickers. You use stickers as attacks. That's the framing device they put it in. I noticed that when I defeat enemies, I don't gain any experience points. In fact, all I really get for defeating enemies are some coins, which I can use to buy more attacks. And then if I'm lucky, if I defeat a special enemy, maybe a sticker or two will drop out, representing another attack. So I start doing some math in my head, and it's like, okay, to beat these Goombas in the first area, it took me 3 attacks. If it took me 3 attacks to take out a Goomba, and I only get like 10 coins from it, all I can really do with those 10 coins is buy 3 more attacks. There's no EXP, there's nothing else gained, other than just wasting my time. So, if fighting takes up resources, and the only reason to fight is to get a way to buy your attacks, why don't you just not fight anything and just walk your way through the game? Which the game never answers. There's no reason to fight anything. You're playing a turn-based RPG where you're incentivized to not fight anything. That's already a massive problem, right? And it doesn't help that the gameplay loop of this whole thing is really just kind of like slightly annoying puzzles, much like in Super. I don't think the puzzles were quite as annoying in Sticker Star. I think even some of them were clever. Like there's in World 2, there's like a Sphinx you go into, and it uses there's some clever 3D moments in there where if you have the 3D on, you can notice like a doorway hidden behind a pillar. You can notice spots where you can walk through what looks like should be a dead end, but there's actually like a door hidden in the side. There's a lot of moments like that in this game. Like, that doesn't salvage it. It's like you do a cute puzzle every once in a while, but man, most of the puzzles in this game are cheap because they're adventure game style, right? Think a King's Quest game. The way you get through puzzles in that game is you have an inventory, and then you select an item from the inventory and you use it on the obstacle, and that's how you progress. It's not like the original Paper Mario where you have the partner characters or whatever. No, in this game, the puzzles are inventory dependent, which sucks because this game has like a Resident Evil 4 styled inventory. All of your items need to fit into a predetermined amount of space. Now, as you go further in the game, your inventory expands, so this becomes less of a problem as it goes on. But it sucks because so many times, especially in the first few chapters, I would get to an obstacle, know that I need an item that I don't have in my inventory, and then I would be forced to backtrack all the way back to town, get the item I need, and then come back to the obstacle just so I could progress. And halfway through this game, there is a chapter that I think is just a hard wall for I think anyone playing this game. There is a part of this game where you meet a Wiggler, and he gets torn like limb from limb. Each segment of the Wiggler is torn up. And the whole chapter is your quest to like put the missing Wiggler parts back together in the Forest of Illusion area. So in a lot of Mario games, there's like a forest where you go through and it's like the Lost Woods in Zelda or whatever. This game brought back the world map. So it's like the one in Mario World. It's like the Forest of Illusion in Mario World. So imagine going through that, except you need to comb every stage to find these missing Wiggler parts before you can go on. It is excruciatingly long. It felt like it was half the game's runtime. In fact, it might have even been half the game's runtime. I don't know. I will say that the game does get a little better after that. I would say that the second half of Sticker Star is definitely stronger than the first. It is a really slow start, too. It's one of those games that really starts you out with basically nothing, and then you get Nintendo tutorialized every fucking few steps. And they just give you abilities like so darn slow in the beginning, and they really, the on-ramp in this game is a long one. No, but later in the game, there's like a haunted mansion level, which is alright. You go to like the ice world, which is fine. You fight Bowser. Like that whole sequence is really long, actually. It's like a really weirdly long final boss with a lot of parts, a lot of like phases you need to contend with. I mean, for a silent character, he takes up a lot of the end game. So, in the Iwata Asks for this game, Paper Mario Sticker Star, they tell a story about them showing this game to Miyamoto and him giving 2 pieces of advice. 1, game doesn't need a story. And 2, get it done using only characters from the Mario universe. Which, curious things. It seems like he's just raining on their parade or whatever, right? It seems like he's intentionally keeping these games down. But having just played Super, having experienced the batshit wild craziness this was, where you have unrelated to the whole Mario universe OCs running rampant. The whole game is people, it's like an isekai, right? Like where you get sucked into another world. Like Mario and friends go to a completely unrelated dimension almost in this game, where a completely unrelated love story takes central stage. I'm imagining a world where Sticker Star is just as, or if not more so, crazier than this game. That was an awkward sentence, but whatever, we're keeping it. This comes on Miyamoto's desk. This slides into his desk. Miyamoto plays it, and he goes, "What the fuck is this? Look how they massacred my boy." It's Mario, dummies. You guys are taking it way too seriously. Tone it down. Get rid of, like, this fucking guy. We don't need him. We don't need this. We don't need this. We don't need the love story. Just stick to the basics. Make it just a regular turn-based game. It'll be much better. Trust me. Whether or not that was good advice, or whether or not they had to do it, if this was like a mandate from on high, that they couldn't have done their own thing against Miyamoto's suggestions, we'll never know, because this is all we really get. We get like 2 offhand comments in this interview about it. But the proof is in the pudding. Like, making this a more sterilized, because that's what it is. This is a more sterilized corporate Nintendo. We see the difference in, I think this is from 2012, and this one was from 2007. Just in those 5 years, we see Nintendo as a brand shift from more Wild Westy, anything goes, slight edge. They hadn't completely committed to the Blue Ocean family-friendly strategy thing they did now. This was still, there's a little bit of like tribal Mario Game Boy Advance SP, like the tribal tattoo Game Boy Advance SP energy in this, which has been completely eradicated by the time you get to Sticker Star. So the bottom line with this game, I think, is they took out all the personality, which was the good thing that Super Paper Mario had going for it. And they replaced it with a more mechanically inclined RPG, but there's no incentive to then use those mechanics. You've invested all of this playstyle. Like, the whole hook of this game is supposed to be like the battle system with the stickers, right? It's in the title of the game. And it's a neat idea, and a battle system using only consumable items. That's a neat idea. And then you make it so you never really need to interact with them outside of boss fights. That sucks. So what you end up doing is you save all the good stickers for the boss fights. You beat them for the most part, except for like this stupid fucking Cheep kept killing me. I don't know. I mean, there was a few sticking points. Like, this game isn't like super easy. I think, in fact, it might even be the hardest one, strictly speaking, that I've played so far. At least I died by far the most amount of times in this one. I feel like it was kind of unearned. There were a lot of moments where you just kind of needed to use one specific sticker. It was sort of like a puzzle fight, and you wouldn't necessarily know that the first time, or maybe you wouldn't, I'm just stupid. But yeah, I mean, Paper Mario Sticker Star, just give me an incentive to play the game. There's no reason to play it. It's just so bland and inoffensive. I think the puzzles are okay, but they definitely don't salvage the whole thing. It's a game with no personality, and the foundation on which it's built on is already molding, and it's not even that old. So, yeah, Sticker Star ended up being a dud. You already knew that. I already knew that. Let's move on with our lives. Let's get on to Paper Mario Color Splash, a game that I have never touched for even 1 second. until right now. So, I wasn't able to scratch that contrarian itch with Sticker Star, but I sure as hell can with Color Splash, because this ended up being pretty easily my favorite game in the Paper Mario series so far. It is possibly my favorite Wii U exclusive. In fact, I think it is. Not that that's a very high bar, you know, with everything getting ported to Switch. And I really do think that Paper Mario Color Splash is now just one of my favorite games in general. And yes, I'm serious. I'm being dead serious. Now, maybe there's a case of lowered expectations going on here after finding out Sticker Star was about as crappy as people said, but Color Splash blew me away. If this game is what modern Paper Mario can represent, then I say, screw the quote-unquote old style, because this is the best game I've played so far. Color Splash is almost the exact same as Sticker Star, only it's better in every conceivable way. Creatively, this is the difference between Mario Arcade and Super Mario, I suppose. Dismissing this because all of the NPCs are toads is such a lazy I didn't play the game move. That's something the Gamer Lizard does, not we here at Jason Graves LLC. One of the biggest problems with Sticker Star was how there's no incentive to fight anything, which has been partially mitigated. Now you're rewarded with upgrades to your paint supply. Paint is like the mitochondria of this universe. It's the powerhouse. You want paint. You're splashing it on everything. The versions of cards which don't use paint cost more than double at the shop. It's like leveling stamina upgrades in a Dark Souls game. Does this new incentive work? Sort of, for about half the game it did, at which point I avoided random battles like they were syphilis, but that's much better than freaking Chapter 1 of Sticker Star. Now, is the battle system any good? No, I mean, it's really not. It's basically the same as Sticker Star, consumable item based, only it's more annoying because you have to use the gamepad to select attacks. I find it ironic that the more Paper Mario tries to experiment with its battle mechanics, the worse they become. The originals was solid because it was built on top of a tried and true, more or less fundamentally traditionally turn-based system, which had existed for nearly 20 years at that point. They didn't fuck around. They took Mario RPG, which in turn took from Final Fantasy, which in turn took from Dragon Warrior, who in turn took from Wizardry. 64 used a standard system, and it worked. Super didn't even have battle mechanics, and Sticker Star decided to do turn-based only with no experience points and consumable attacks. Color Splash's new dimension they added to this is paint, which only takes us so far. It's clear that as Nintendo has carried on with this series, they have wanted to shift away from a traditionally turn-based system, which to me is respectable and understandable. But the solutions that they've come up with have made the games worse, not better. Now, I'm more or less on the same page with everyone up to this point, though at the same time, I had never found the battle system to be all that interesting in Mario RPG or Paper Mario 64 either, so I can see why they wanted to mix it up at least. Because you can't be stagnant with these things. People clamoring for Nintendo to just make more Thousand Year Door, I wince at that because it wouldn't be great either. I mean, what's the point in just treading our wheels? I don't think this should be a series that just rolls out the same battle system every time and calls it a day. I like that they're willing to try new things, and I hope the next Paper Mario game does something stupid and weird with its battles again. I would be grossly disappointed if it was just the same format as 64 and Thousand Year Door. So wait a second, I thought I loved this game, but I'm also saying that the battles are bad? Now how can that be? It's because that's not how I think about video games, and that's not how I think about life for that matter. Pieces of media are not multiple choice quizzes at school. You don't get to go, oh, the writing is excellent, it's one of the funniest games I've ever played, it's fucking gorgeous, the boss fights are fun, it feels like a real adventure, the ending was actually heartfelt, but I didn't like the battles and you only talk to toads, so 4 out of 7. That's just not how I do things. Compartmentalizing my experience like that, I believe, is foolish. Surely not every element is weighed equally in every game. Different ones are trying to be different things to different people. While I was writing this, I happened to have a Scott the Waz's stash video playing in the background. This was unplanned, but Color Splash came up and what he said made me have a mini epiphany.
Graphically, it's gorgeous. They perfected the paper aesthetic in this game. And then you also have the music, which is just, oh my god, it is some of the best in the franchise. The writing is so damn good. It's so funny and just so genuinely amusing. And the environments are actually really fun to explore. There's so much to love in this game, but it is not perfect by any means. It is entirely imperfect. The battle system is genuinely garbage in this game. There's not really any actual, like, characters in the game. There's really nobody original other than, like, basic ass toads. They all look the same. This game isn't perfect. However, this game was a good time to play during a bad time for Wii U owners.
I think people are afraid to admit that they like this game. Every conversation about it goes basically what I just said. They'll fawn over multiple talking points, but there will always be a disclaimer that it has problems, Scott says. It has problems. It's like this prerequisite to saying anything positive about Color Splash. The other shoe has to drop and you're required to say that the battle system sucks and every character is a stock model Toad. And I feel like this is so reductive and misses the point. You know, kind of like my entire review of Super. In order to have a great game, it needs great elements which shine through to make it worth playing. But not every solitary piece needs to be, or even really should be, perfect. You can play the, but it has problems game with anything. Let's look at a couple contemporary first-party Nintendo games released the very next year. Zelda Breath of the Wild is a fantastic adventure which allows you so much freedom that it's nearly overwhelming. But it has problems. There's only about 3 different enemy types. A quarter of the shrines are copy-pasted test of strength bullshit. The story isn't very involved and the ending is hot garbage. 6 out of 10. Mario Odyssey is jam-packed with ludicrous amounts of creativity and charm. Mario has never controlled better. Cappy is a fantastic mechanic, but it has problems. Several of the moons are repeats of each other. There's no reward for going out of your way to do tougher challenges when you can just beat the whole game going after the easiest objectives, and the capture mechanic was grossly underutilized. 5 out of 10. I don't like playing this game. If there are fantastic elements in a title that are worthwhile enough to make you want to see it through to the end, then surely it can't get bogged down just by a couple points. I've played a lot of RPGs, and I've experienced much worse battle systems in games that people love, and it didn't seem to get in the way of their reputation. So, I'm a very reactionary type of critic. I find the discourse around a game to be almost as interesting as the game itself. Color Splash is being slept on, and I look forward to the flood of video essays in 4 or 5 years going to bat defending it. Mark my words, the general consensus will turn around on Color Splash, and I'll have this to point to and say I told you so. I was digging through old YouTube videos from when this game first came out to try and take the pulse of the internet at the time. There I learned that the original announcement trailer was dislike bombed, and this game became a huge controversy before it even came out. There was even a petition to cancel it. Arlo's first big hits, the videos in which put him on the map, are his reaction and rant about this game's trailer. He clearly tapped into some larger disrest about the game, and to be fair, it's a horrible trailer. The game looks like it basically just is more Sticker Star, but in HD and on a Wii U. From all outward appearances, I can see why people were skeptical. It came out on October 7th, 2016, and in the couple months leading up to its release, the history was already written. People were pissed they were making another Sticker Star. They didn't like the lack of new character designs. They didn't like the sterile presentation. This comment by Link to the Past 592 actually sums it up pretty well. Dear Nintendo, just because the Mario and Luigi series is an alright RPG franchise in its own right, doesn't mean you have to strip Paper Mario of all the RPG elements that made it great. Sincerely, pretty much everyone. There was such a disconnect between what fans think they wanted and what this game was attempting to deliver that it was never going to land. No matter how good the game actually was at what it was trying to accomplish, the people weren't having it. This is compounded by the fact that their criticisms are not unfounded. Based on this trailer, it looks like another soulless husk. It looks like more Sticker Star, which it is, but it's also not. When the game finally came out, there was no clapback to any of this perception because what it was trying to be did not align with what people wanted. It was the sort of thing you just had to kind of play to experience it yourself. It was also a late Wii U release, so it's safe to assume that the least amount of people have played this one, right? Out of all the Paper Marios, Color Splash is the one you are least likely to have played. It's the only one which failed to sell 1 million copies, and it came out and failed to make, for lack of a better word, a splash. And so it was. Any praise of the game would be inherently seen as contrarian to the popular opinion, so as to not be labeled an attention-seeking prick. Positive sentiments need to be sugar-footed. Here's a list of things that I love about Color Splash, but it has problems. There was no hand-waving of these problems away. I think if a game is great at what it does, you can hand-wave a certain number of flaws. You can point out flaws in pretty much anything, but if the core experience delivers, you're golden. And I believe that Paper Mario Color Splash does. But, as I said, it has problems. The battle system isn't great, and all the characters are toads. I was not a part of any of this discourse, by the way. Not because I wouldn't have played it, or because I wasn't online, or because I wasn't into Nintendo. I bought almost every single major Wii U game on release day. I was such a Nintendo meat rider. I loved my Wii U, and I loved supporting my Wii U. However, I didn't pick this one up on release. A couple years later, as GameStop was phasing out their Wii U section, is when I picked it up. And it's a real shame, because I probably would have liked the game even more then, but you want to know what my September of 2016 looked like? The month leading up to this? Let's see, I was in a car wreck, I quit my job, I got dumped, my dad died, and my landlord sold the house I was living in, and the new one was going to raise my rent from $300 to $700 a month. I know, it was a different world, $300 and $700 rents. But that was an unfathomable amount of money to me at the time, $700 a month. I know this sounds like a bit, like I'm trying to gain sympathy points. I'm not. This was forever ago, and I've moved on. My point is that the month leading up to this game was the worst of my life, and I had other things taking up my mental energy other than some silly Paper Mario drama. This is not a war I fought in, so I'm not afraid to say it. I really think that Paper Mario Color Splash is a masterpiece. Yes, masterpiece. And I'm not just throwing that term around. I really did like this game that much. Why? Well, I'm gonna have to tell you, I guess, seeing as I've barely even talked about the game so far. It feels like a bunch of different adventures strung together as opposed to video gamey standard Mario levels like what we saw in Sticker Star. There are continuing storylines and themes linking each chapter together beyond the now you're on a desert, now you're in the snow, now you gotta find all the Wiggler parts. It goes deeper than that. Color Splash is a world map, but it still feels cohesive. Levels lead into each other, both environmentally and narrative-wise. Every game in the series so far has been a standard MacGuffin quest. Stars, then hearts, then a sticker book, now these sentient paint gods. The journey to get each one of these feels distinct, filled with varied and creative locations at every turn. Some of them are more tightly linked than others, with the obvious examples being those string of levels where you're island hopping on a pirate ship, or the continuing adventures of the train. Oh Lord, the train. This is where Color Splash graduated from a game I had heard sucked, but was actually somewhat enjoying, to easily my favorite Paper Mario game so far. It reminded me of watching like a really good anime arc, where maybe you'd catch an episode a week on Adult Swim and the characters would still be doing the same general thing for seemingly what felt like months. Color Splash is a slow-paced boil. They set it on 1, especially for a Nintendo game. Things move much slower in this, but they also move more deliberately, I'd argue. When something is accomplished in this game, you feel like you've really done something. This train that I've spent the last 7 hours of my life with, you get attached to it. You went through real trials and tribulations to get it to its destination, so when this chapter was over, I missed it. The same could be said for the pirate ship. I liked hanging out with these doofy fucking pirate guys and this Toad's adorable buccaneer hat. And then we got Princess. No, not that one. This one. If you've played the game, you know. The princess subplot freaking ruled. Color Splash is a collection of highly entertaining moments and scenarios. It's never not joking in both small and large ways. There's a quest to acquire a giant coin in the forest, and when you finally get it, you touch the thing, and it disappears and just counts as 1 coin in your inventory. That's comedy gold. The best part of Sticker Star was a fake game show called Sniff It or Whiff It, and that makes a return, but it's not even cracking my top 5 moments of this game. In fact, you know what? That sounds like a fun way to structure the rest of this segment. What are the top 5 moments of this game? The train and the pirate ship don't count. Those aren't one moment, those are continuing anime arcs, as I said. Number 5, the Coliseum fight. From the Shy Guys shouting, "Row" as you walk in, to the overall aesthetics. It's just a really well done area. As you walk in, you're able to talk to would-be enemies backstage, but you're also gatekept from a few rooms, planting the seed, worming it into your head. Hey, I wonder what's in these rooms. Then it's a big old gladiator battle featuring an assload of Mario enemies. You can fight them all normally for hammer points, or you can pick up the Secret Starman and just run through them all. Then the boss fight. All the bosses in this game are Koopalings, but they're all in-depth puzzles. You're required to use specific cards at the correct moments to win. For this fight, you have to summon Princess by playing the Bone card. Only problem is you already had to use the Bone card before this, and repros don't work either. Oh, you used a pretend Bone? Okay, I'll pretend to lose. Okay, that's kind of funny. These fights feel very old gamey. There's pie in the Yeti's face moments all over Color Splash. Not just in the boss fights, but just in the levels. There's tons of instant game overs sending you back to the main menu in your last save. I like that they had the urge to just go for this unfriendly mechanic. Like, sure, why not? Fuck them. Fuck the players. Fuck them. It's got kind of a Super Paper Mario streak like that. I love old gamey nonsense like this, especially since we live in the era of the internet. The Wii U even has a way to look up the solution right there on the gamepad, and it still works today too. There's also an NPC back in town who tells you which cards you need too. These instant game over parts are sort of nonsense, but they're also funny when you fall into the trap, and the game gives you resources to overcome, so it's really not that big of a deal, IMO. Anyway, what you're supposed to do in the Coliseum is run away. Classic RPG subversion, fights that you're supposed to run away from. I'm sure if you're a kid and this is the first time you've seen this trick, it would blow your mind. Now, remember all those rooms you weren't able to get into before? Yeah, you gotta go explore them now. Find a bone, summon Princess, and kick that Koopaling's ass. All the boss fights are clever like this. My favorite one was, much like the game as a whole, the train one. This Shy Guy in the engine room keeps giving the boss hearts, putting him back to full health. So what you have to do is play cover for this Toad, so he can go down there and kick the Shy Guy out. The boss summons minions every turn, and you have to figure out how to kill all of them in a single round, or else they fuck with the Toad and it takes them longer to get there. This is good as fuck, as I like to say. In fact, so far in the entire series, genuinely clever boss fights are few and far between, but almost all of them are in this. Maybe the one in Sticker Star when you had to reflect their attacks back at them with a timed button press, but Color Splash brings this gimmick back too for one of its boss fights, and much like everything else Color Splash lifts from Sticker Star, it's done much better here. This fight against the submarine is much more complex. It's an embarrassment of riches. I could just keep naming boss fights because they're all really darn good. But let's go to moment number 4, which is Peach's incredibly reductive description of Mario when introducing them. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Princess Peach from the Mushroom Kingdom. And this is my friend, Mario. He jumps on things and hits them with a hammer when necessary.
Wow, what an asshole.
Holy shit, that's fucking ice cold. Mario, man, you're just gonna let this happen? Well, screw you, Peach. Go get kidnapped. See if I care. I'm not even gonna pick up your holograms either. Mario gets roasted repeatedly in this game. It looks like your upper lip found a tanuki suit. Ooh, you just got served. This is a really funny game. Early on, there's a guy who doesn't know anything about bridges, but he knows about guys who know about bridges. He's an expert on bridge building experts, which is sort of like being a YouTuber talking about video games. Moment number 3. The Mario 3 throwback level. Deceptively a backdoor throwback to Super Paper Mario as well, because you can shift a 2D environment into 3D. And this one stage gets more mileage out of this perspective trick than all of Super. It doesn't use it more, that's not what I'm trying to say, but it uses it in more concentrated in deviously tricky ways. This is the proper way to do a throwback level. None of this Gamer Lizard fake pixel art bullshit. Use the actual assets, allude to the real layout, hide secrets behind the white blocks, because if you know Mario 3, you'll find it right away. The stage is cool. It's like you're doing a Scooby-Doo scavenger hunt with a Mario 3 level. This was a part of the whole Nintendo figuring out NES fan service era. It was right around the time of the NES Classic. The Koopalings are in almost every Mario game at this point. There was that Tanuki comment from earlier, which is also a required card to beat that deflecting attack boss. Plus, it feels good to get out of the paper aesthetic. Now, don't get me wrong, the normal visuals are gorgeous. Its paper aesthetic is taken to a whole new level in Color Splash, and it looks good enough that Nintendo could put this same game out tomorrow, and it wouldn't need to change a thing. It looks as good as a game can possibly look, aside from maybe raising the resolution to 4K or something. The whole style, it's timeless, it's perfect even. This is a flawlessly beautiful game with some striking visual moments. My favorite perhaps being this giant missing paint splotch in the desert with a toad lounging in the center. Sup, Mario? It's always funny to see how each toad reacts to Mario's presence. Like, as a celebrity in this world. I wouldn't have expected anything else from this guy resting in the most Kino location in the entire game. Moment 2. The final boss against Bowser. Yeah, I know, he's the enemy again, and that's kinda lame, but this time there's a cute twist that everything was just a misunderstanding. This wasn't Bowser's evil test, it was more Bowser got drunk last night.
Bowser, I've finally completed your evil test. What do you say about that? This is Bowser here. Actually, I was hoping that you'd pass my evil test.
Bowser has one line this time, up from 0 in Sticker Star, and is made of what is known as black paint, which is like this game's apocalypse scenario. Black paint is consuming all the land, and you have to link the flame by obtaining 6 paint MacGuffin stars or something. This black gunk is deadly to the touch, as we've seen earlier, in a scene which also foreshadows the boss's main combat mechanic. Mario is hurt by this black paint, which is covering the entire area. Your traveling companion of the day, a sentient paint can, laments that you can't pass through, tells you to look away, and we cut to the same place, only with no black paint. Let us never speak of this again. And then they never did until the final boss. Black paint is portrayed as poison, but he's a paint can, meaning he can hold some of this stuff. It clearly puts him in great pain to do so by the way he reacts in this final fight, so we feel for the character. And the fight itself is great too. The gimmick is that every attack you do to Bowser splashes some of the black paint onto the floor, which he then uses as his attack against you. The more paint you knock onto the floor, the stronger his barrage against Mario is. It's a great risk-reward sort of thing. Do you want to do as much damage as possible to get the fight over with faster, but then risk dying to Bowser's counterattack, or do you just go little by little, hoping that you could subsist without drawing out all of your resources? The harder you hit him, the harder he hits back. But wait, there's more. After attacking, the black paint is absorbed back into Bowser, unless you use your paint can to block the attack with a timed action button press. What happens here is he'll absorb the black paint so it doesn't go back to Bowser. As he takes on more and more of this poison, your paint can friend gets progressively more and more haggard, until Bowser finally tries one last fuck you attack, with a nasty little delay that caused me to have to do the fight over again, but block it successfully and it's game over. This is a fantastic fight, and the ending's not too bad either. A worthy send-off to a great game. Now at 38 hours and 15 minutes, this is also long, especially for Paper Mario standards. 64 and Super were around 20, Sticker Star was maybe 25, so Color Splash is by far the longest so far. It's a slow-paced, chill jaunt. You walk everywhere, there's no run button, and I think it would have hit the spot so well back in October 2016. There was nothing to play on the Wii U, so something with a little heft like this would have been nice to sink my teeth into on its own terms. It would have been chill as heck to play in a bathrobe every night before bed for a month, instead of what I'm doing now in huge 8-hour binge sessions, because I'm trying to play through 6 games for this dumb video back to back to back to back to back to back to back. And moment number 1 is the train foreman. Kind of cheating because it's really 2 moments. First off, early on, I'm talking 20-something hours before the train chapter even happens, you accidentally break a bridge that a set of train tracks were going over. Fun, right? Then later on, there's a stage where you roll up into a train yard, like it's a new stage you just unlocked on the world map. Every level has at least one what are known as mini paint stars. Picture them as the flagpole at the end of the stage if this were traditional Mario. The paint star signifies the end of the level. Anyway, you unlock this new stage, which is a train yard, where this grumpy-looking toad tells you that he already found the star for you, and here it is, no questions asked. You gotta take the little victories when they come, as he says. He may not have a name, but right now I love this guy. Fast forward to when you hear the Sunset Express, aka the train, happens to be going to one of the big MacGuffin stars is located. But they can't take off because the bridge is out. Remember the one that you broke. That's cool as fuck that it comes back. So you have to fix the bridge somehow. Then the rest of the chapter follows this pattern. It is a series of unfortunate events befalling this train. One of these events is when a thwomp smashes it. So you have to have it pushed to the train yard, where you then go back to help this grumpy toad boss do his job after he helped you do yours. This fucking rules, and I'm going to use it to make probably the most unpopular argument in this entire video. I like the toads. In fact, I like the toads more as nameless identical twins. Because this game uses their anonymity so well. Look at how much mileage they get out of just a few expressions and color changes. Sure, the foreman toad looks like everyone else, but we end up knowing so much about him that he gets shit done because he finds your star before you do. The only time in the whole game that happens. He's always frowning, he's always sitting down. This is the face of a toad who has worked 50 years at the exact same job, eroded by years of taxing physical labor fixing trains. All the other toads working here love and respect him. They throw him up in the air at the end like a sports movie. He's a great leader, we know, because he doesn't take credit for fixing the train. Leadership 101 states that failures are your fault, but successes are because of your team, and he embodies that. This guy is fucking awesome. The toads in this game have no names. They have no DeviantArt weird off-model art slapped onto them, but to say that they aren't characters is reductive and wrong. Okay, if I do this to him, is he now suddenly a better character? How about now? No, because it misses the point. When you say that everyone is a toad, and therefore Nintendo wasn't as creative in this game, that's just not how I think of it. They made a choice to not invent new races and to not stray off model. Surely an exploration of the core Mario universe is just as valid a direction to take as to what the first 3 games did. I don't see how this is inherently any worse. Sure, it's more fun to have all of this wacky nonsense, but Color Splash makes this identical toad thing work in its favor so well. It makes the game funnier in a bunch of cases. For instance, with Justice Toad. There's this regular ass looking toad you rescue, but it turns out he doesn't need rescuing because he's actually a superhero, and he goes around calling himself Justice Toad. The reason this is funny is because he looks like everyone else. He looks like just an ordinary, unremarkable toad. But then the real joke is that he wasn't lying. He wasn't bullshitting. He actually does have superpowers, and it lands so much better because he just looks like everyone else. If he showed up and he looked awesome, if he had all of this like weird crap onto him, and it turned out he kicked ass, I don't think it would have hit as hard. But what I found to be the most interesting thing about this point I'm trying to make is that this whole meta-contextual debate Nintendo fans have been having for years about copy and pasted toads and about having original characters. This is brought up in the text of the game. Everyone being a faceless, nameless cog in this giant machine is actually a part of the narrative. There are multiple occasions throughout Paper Mario Color Splash where characters question their role as a nobody. The bit where the Shy Guy refuses to join up into their stack. This poor guy is already not in control of his life. Being a Shy Guy and all, he's destined to be in Bowser's army, as other NPCs say. So why should he give up more autonomy? His life is spared after we destroy the stack of guys he didn't join up with, and later on you have a heart-to-heart on a train with a different Shy Guy. Another additional reason why the train section of this game is so great. And you have a conversation about the meaning of life when you feel powerless and you only exist as something to be thrown off a cliff at Mario in the name of a greater cause. This is genius. It's a game about standing out when you're just another replaceable peon. There's lots of conformity being pushed down upon these characters, but despite that, the Toads and every enemy character which you take the time to get to know do stand out. Though in appearance they are interchangeable, assembly line copy and pasted assets, when you talk to them, the people you get to know in this game underneath have real depth and yes, even colors. Of course, the irony is palpable that a work about all of this gooey, it's what's on the inside that counts, shit, is often maligned as a soulless husk of some games which aren't anywhere near as affectionate. Now, I still haven't played Thousand Year Door, remember, I know that's the one. But at least next to 64 and Super, I will take these interchangeable Toads over any of the characters in any of those every single time. It's a narrative about standing out when everybody looks the same. So complaining that all of the characters look the same feels incredibly self-defeating. Oh, but yeah, I almost forgot. It has problems. The battles aren't that great and you only talk to Toads. 6 out of 10.
You know, I'm actually doing a split for this shot to stay in frame. I'm standing like this. This is me normal. So, I got a few words before we move on to the Switch games, and it's that I'm aware that a lot of the things I said in defense of Color Splash, that reasons that it's one of my favorite games now, can be thrown back in my face, especially when talking about Super Paper Mario. Was I too hard on Super Paper Mario? Yeah, probably, but when I review a game, the way I do things is that while I'm playing, I feel a certain way. I feel emotions. And these reviews are just attempts to verbalize the emotions that I felt while playing the game. And while I was playing Super Paper Mario, I was frustrated. I felt like it was just a game of endless roadblocks, and the quote, good elements weren't even close to salvaging it for me. When I was playing Sticker Star, I was bored. Hence the sleepy, non-scripted review. I didn't care enough. And for Color Splash, I was constantly, at every corner of this game, around every turn, I was surprised. I was gleefully surprised. I was grinning. I was smiling at the characters. I was endeared to the world, which is ironic because the knock against these games is that they don't have a world, that it has no characters, and that it's just bland Mario. But what I found here couldn't have been further from the consensus. So, let's move on to not Thousand Year Door. We're almost there. We gotta do Origami King first, though.
Wah! They didn't name the characters. Wah! It's not exactly like Thousand Year Door. Man, shut the frick up. Alright, we gotta talk about Bobby. Every and all Origami King discussions should begin and end with this guy. He's the most interesting part of it by far, and if you don't know, please actually skip this segment. Even if you don't think you care, you might. So this is the second time I played through Origami King, and the Bobby questline holds up better than I remember, which is fantastical because I remembered thinking that he was the best death in Nintendo game history. Not that there's a ton of others to pull from. I suppose the other contenders would be the other death in this game, when you die in Fire Emblem Genealogy of the Holy War, the Majora's Mask Deku Scrub, the Three Mothers of Mother 3, the end of Pokemon Mystery Dungeon 2, I guess? Nintendo doesn't go for tragic deaths much, so to see one smack dab in the middle of this game was shocking the first time around. Now with 4 years of hindsight, I was worried that it might feel cheap or something, or maybe undeserved, but no, it's wonderfully done. He's with you for a significant part of the game, longer than any other party member. His introduction is cute as heck. You're stuck in like a gondola ride with him, and the first lines out of his mouth are making fun of your companion's childlike wonder. Meanwhile, he himself acts like a kid, albeit a slightly older one, you know, one who's trying to act all grown up. This is because he has amnesia, which I know is a lame trope, but they put it to good use here. It's an excuse to make him into a bumbling idiot, is what it is. Anyway, after some casual conversation, he asks to join. It's one of those but thou must moments I talked about earlier, but you can keep saying no and Bobby will think of funnier and funnier ways to keep asking. It's just an adorable scene. The way the music just suddenly stops when you say no. It's endearing. Just like that, we're already charmed. Infamously, I know Bobby isn't actually his name. It's a pet name. It's something that we come up just to call him because Bob-omb is boring. But he has a pet name for you, too, referring to Mario as Big M. You know, like the grocery store. What, you don't know about Big M? Like and subscribe if you've ever been to a Big M. Specifically the one in Oswego, New York. Yeah, I'm hoping to get one person. Specifically you, yes, you watching. If your ears perked up when I mentioned the Big M in Oswego, New York, like and subscribe. And for everyone else, I guess just go watch something else. You know what, don't even bother. Don't subscribe. I'm never gonna talk about Paper Mario again. You don't care about me. I know you only care about Paper Mario. This is it, man. I'm not a Paper Mario channel. I'm not gonna sit around. I'm not gonna rank all the chapters. I'm not gonna talk about the history of the Buddy character in these games. I'm not gonna talk about the fucking Luigi cameos in all of them. He's a little more involved in this game. He's got a cool running joke. But I'm not gonna talk about that because I'm not a Paper Mario channel. This is all you get. You get one video. One loosey-goosey video where I'm just talking about all the games. Fuck it. Don't subscribe. I know you only care about Paper Mario. That's it. You just want to hear somebody talk about Paper Mario. Actually, you know what? That's probably not true. Because if you only cared about Paper Mario, you would have thrown this video off in disgust when I started crapping on Super. Man, that game sucks. I know I said I was too hard on it a couple minutes ago, but no, that game sucks. Go play it right now. I'm serious. If you have like strong, warm and fuzzies about Super Paper Mario, but you haven't played it in a long time, just play it right now. Boot up the game right now and try and make your way through it. Report back. I want to know. I actually want to know. I don't care if you have to comment on this video 2 weeks from now just to say, no, actually, it's still my favorite. Man, that game sucks. Anyway, what was I? Oh yeah, Big M, Mario. Pet names. Yeah, these games are all about introspection. Taking a step back to evaluate your own conscious thoughts and feelings. Noticing things about one's self. Or in this case, deconstructing the typical Mario series dynamics. Yeah, Bobby's not his real name, but, you know, that's kind of the fucking point, you stupid maroons. Long after Bobby dies, you come across a platoon of bomb-ombs, where one of them says the depressing reality for life itself. We do our jobs, and when we're done, there's always another bomb-omb there to take our place. You're not defined by being pink, or by a name, or by a silly sailor's costume. It's all about your actions. Bobby is special because he's not. His meaning comes from the time you spent with him, not his fucking character design. As you continue adventuring with Bobby, he ends up being kind of a pain. He sucks at fighting, he's constantly running off and getting into trouble. Despite his cocky and above-it-all exterior, he's a wuss, refusing to even step foot inside the water temple with you. But then he's with us for a long time and it wears us down. As we keep adventuring, we see him open up more and more. He stops acting like a little asshole. As he warms to us, we warm to him. There's a sequence where we go through and save this theme park from invading origami monsters and a rubber band creature, which turns into this game's like version of the opera scene, I guess. The point is, Bobby is loving life at this point, and after the show, he sees some fireworks and remembers everything. He's not an amnesiac anymore. Oh yeah, I'm a bomb. I explode. That's what I do. But don't worry, his new memories, the ones he made with you, were his favorite ones yet. He tries to say goodbye, but we're not having it. Because you're a part of the team now, Bobby. After all we just went through, We're gonna be best friends forever. They really do put us through a lot with this little guy. You can even go back to the theme park and have your picture taken with him. You know, like in a real-life Disneyland. Then, of course, the main villain drops a giant boulder onto our origami friend's head, and Bobby suddenly gets an idea. At which point, playing the game for the first time, I sensed where this was going, but desperately didn't want it to happen. You get one last quest together with Bobby to retrieve a fuse. I wonder why he'd want that. Then kablamo! He sacrifices himself to blow up the rock. And this isn't a cute, oh, he's actually okay death. Bobby's gone. He doesn't come back. This is it. This is the last you see of him. Yeah, I mean, another Bob-omb could come and take his place. And does. Later on, we use Bob-ombs as ammunition to shoot down some paper birds, but they can't fill the hole in our hearts. He's built up as this, like, little brother character. You feel like you're showing him the ropes. He grows as a character right in front of our eyes, from not even willing to enter the dungeon with us to blowing himself up to save our friend's life. It's a great introspective look at what Bob-ombs are like in the Mario series, because most of the time they're just kind of objects, right? There's a part pretty early on when you're traveling with Bobby where you come across some rocks, and it feels like in most other games you would just use the bomb to get rid of the rocks, but here Bobby doesn't remember that he's a bomb, that he's supposed to go boom, so the rocks remain unboomed, and you go and you find another way through. It's exploring the horrors of making all of these things living sentient beings, because yeah, they're just things that are made to explode. That's all they are. They're manufactured. We even see this in Color Splash. It's about trying to find meaning if your life is so disposable. Literally in this case, you just fire them off at a cannon without a second thought later on. I said it about the last game, but it's even more true here. To say that these aren't real characters because they don't look like they came from DeviantArt would be selling these games so gosh darn short. These themes where if everyone has the same face, then how do you stand out? How do you derive meaning from that? Color Splash touched on this, but Origami places it front and center. That bit where you're speaking to the shy guy on the train in the last game is brought back about 20 times here in the form of these coffee shops scattered around the world. These conversations are cool, but I also saw where they got them from, and that makes me think a little less of them here, which is kind of the story of this whole game for me. The Bobby sequence is fantastic, but removing that, it's still really good. When I first played it, I was immensely impressed by just how clever the whole thing seemed, but now that I've played Color Splash, I can see that it got this streak of itself directly from that game. Now, Origami King is tilted a little more towards the serious end of the funny to emotional spectrum. Don't get me wrong, this game is still very funny, but I saw that its brand of humor largely comes from the last game. I think both of them are fantastic. If you've been scared off by the Paper Mario mob, which will only accept games which are exactly like Thousand Year Door, then give Origami King a shot. Actually, you know what? If you've only played this one and not Color Splash, which is statistically fairly likely because it sold 4 times as many copies, if you happen to have a Wii U handy, go for it. Go back. Go play Color Splash. I can't recommend that game enough. It's awesome. But what else is there to say about Origami King? I have a few various points, but nothing which fits into a grand thesis or anything. There are other partners aside from Bobby, none of them as good as him, but each of them still have their moments. My next favorite is probably Kamek. I'd argue that the way they did them here is much better than how they were handled in 64. They're not permanent additions in this game. Party members come and go as they're relevant to the situation that you're in, which is cool. In 64, most party members, as I said, were basically keys to unlock specific obstacles. They existed mostly in the freaking menus and to give you a couple extra moves in battle. At least here, each of them has a chance to shine while they're with you. Oh, what else? Oh yeah, this game has major Mike Matei dipshit syndrome.
When is it gonna be not for pussies again? Like when we were growing up. That's the difference. On the fucking NES and Super Nintendo and shit, you weren't like... this is like embarrassing. It's like for fucking pussies.
About 5 hours in, Mike. You're stuck in tutorial hell forever in this one. I hate it when games start out this way. It feels like there's just constant over-explanations, constant interruptions. Just let me play the fucking game. Origami King treats the player like they're a disabled 4-year-old, which, if you happen to be one, fair enough. Go drink some chocolate milk and go to bed. Yoshi's fine. That was just movie magic. I didn't actually shoot him. The game is much less cryptic as well. Both Sticker Star and Color Splash relied on old Sierra's King's Quest type adventure game puzzles to gate progression at certain parts. There's nothing like that in Origami King. It's an incredibly straightforward game, which could be good or bad. You should never need a guide, which is cool because the Switch never got a web browser, so you'd have to look it up on a computer or a tablet or something. One funny thing that I noticed is that if you end up failing a challenge or a platforming gauntlet or something, this game has adaptive difficulty, as in it will make shit easier if you fuck things up enough. Once I realized this, I started messing up on purpose because I thought it was kind of funny how the game reacted. Like, there's this part where you gotta memorize like a Simon pattern on these platforms and just keep jumping. And if you mess it up enough times, eventually they'll just get rid of the fake ones. Like, here you go, idiot, just jump on these. There's another part where you're supposed to answer trivia questions about the game itself. This is a well that Paper Mario has drawn from in quite a few games, actually. Here they're asking me questions such as, how many streamers have I cleared so far? Streamers are like the MacGuffins of this game, which is a fair question, you gotta think about it. But if you keep getting these things wrong, eventually the game just throws its fucking hands up and is like, okay, how many letters are in Mario? Alright, you win. I said that Color Splash was a perfect looking video game, and Origami King is as well, but it's even better because the camera is much more dynamic and it makes use of bigger areas. My favorite here being the desert at night. This place looks fucking awesome. Sniff City too, obviously included with that. And the last thing, which I've avoided talking about because I already made this point in the last game when I said, I find it ironic that the more Paper Mario tries to experiment with its battle mechanics, the worse they become. Yep, that's even more true now. There's this awkward ring system which makes battling a pain, and we're back to not having any reason to fight anymore, because there's no progression system of any kind. We have confetti now, which takes the place of paint, which we use to fill gaps in the world. It's fine, but I like the paint more, and upgrading your stash of confetti isn't tied to battling. They're predetermined upgrades you find out and about, so who the hell cares? I think the developers knew that this shit sucked because the bosses used this system in a completely different way, and as a result, they're actually not that bad. I don't like them as much as I did in the last game, but they do accomplish what they set out to, which is to get you to actually think of and care about these stupid rings. Every move needs to be meticulously planned. You can't just mash and get through. It's cool, most of them have invincibility states that you need to figure out how to get them out of, then you can actually hit them. This might also just be me, but it seemed like there was much less combat in general here. Probably because I was avoiding fights the entire time. Hell, some fights don't even bother with the whole pretense and just allow you to duke it out in the overworld. Origami King probably would have been a better game if every fight was like this, honestly. The fights are lame, but I'm willing to look past that because, as with Color Splash, it's written extraordinarily well, and there's real emotional breadth here. One last thing, there's no more world map, instead everything is continuous, but not really like in 64 and Super with a hub town. I mean, Toad Town is in the game, but you don't really have to go there much. Instead of branching paths coming from one central location, Origami King feels more like one long, continuous stage that you just keep going forward in. It's cool, and I mess with it.
Well, 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 it looks like we're almost at the end. That's 5 games down, however, one extraordinarily large one to go. I think before I move on though, let's do a little pre-ultimate rankings of the games I've played so far. If you've been paying attention, you can probably already figure out how I'm going to rank these, but let's do it anyway. At the bottom, I don't think anyone would disagree. It's Paper Mario Sticker Star, pretty easily the worst one. So, bottom of the stack it goes. Next, if you've been paying attention, as I said, you'll know my next pick is going to be Super. Did not enjoy this one. I know it's a fan favorite, but bottom of the pile it goes. Then we've got 3 games which I actually did enjoy. However, to what extent did I for each of them? I think I'm going to go Paper Mario the original next on the stack, leaving only the 2 most recent games, Origami King and Color Splash. We're going to go Origami King, and then we're going to go Color Splash, my favorite Paper Mario game so far. But we all know that these games don't mean shit. The only Paper Mario that matters is the 1,000-Year Door. It casts such a long shadow over the rest of the series. It's like, these, worthless. This is Paper Mario. All this bullshit, who cares? Now, they did just release a remake, right? What version should I play? You know, when I started this video, the original plan was to play the remake. However, before it came out, there came out screenshots, there were leaked information about it, that they changed dialogue in this game. There was a famous image showing the before and after of a scene where I guess one of the characters gets catcalled. I don't think that that change is the end of the world. In fact, I'm pretty okay with that one in specific, but the idea of the thing, man, I don't want to play a version of what is considered to be one of the greatest games ever made. On the strength of its writing, people say the 1,000-Year Door is fantastic because it's written so well. I don't want to play a version of the game that has been rewritten. It's the whole spirit of the thing. Now, don't think of this me as like bitching about censorship. Censorship should have never have even entered this debate because what happened with this game was not censorship. Censorship is if Nintendo wanted to release this game and then Joe Biden said, actually no, we're gonna change the dialogue and then you can put it out. That's censorship. Nintendo deciding on their own that they want to change the content of an older game for a re-release is not censorship. That is just them changing their mind. However, it's also, they fucking changed the dialogue, and that's bullshit, and I don't like it, so, fuck it. We're playing the original.
Holy shit, what? The noose was real? What? Okay. So before this game came out, I mentioned these leaks showing off how they changed dialogue, referencing catcalling or whatever. So in response to this, the Paper Mario subreddit began posting memes of fake changes, you know, things that weren't in the game to begin with. And as someone who had never played the game, I'd have to look at these fakes for a minute real closely just to know what was real or not. And of course, any picture with a fucking noose couldn't have actually been from the game, right? But no! Directly in the center of town, clear as crystal, plain as day, in the first 10 minutes of the game, the noose was real! What? I was stunned, of course, but right after that I thought, well then who gets hanged? This is Chekhov's noose now. You can't have this thing on the mantelpiece and not use it, right? Was Mario going up? Toadsworth? Well, maybe it actually was Toadsworth because he was never really in any games after this. But no, they wouldn't go that far. Nobody gets hanged, nobody almost gets hanged, and that's why I give this game an official rating of 6 out of 10 for not following through on choking someone to death with a noose. Okay, just kidding. This game freaking rules. Somehow, some way, it managed to live up to an entire lifetime of hype.
Nintendo Power, anybody?
The first time I ever heard of it, I believe, was in Nintendo Power, when to commemorate their 200th issue, they counted down the top 200 video games of all time. And at number 35, there it was, Paper Mario, The 1,000-Year Door. I had already played the first one, didn't know there was a sequel, but I also didn't have a GameCube, so it eluded me until today, or about a week before writing this. It's only 2 spots above Superstar Saga, which is bullshit, by the way. I like Superstar Saga, but this game isn't in the same zip code. I'll tell you it's a lot freaking better than that. But let's not unpack, unless this video goes viral, of course, in which case expect the I binged Mario and Luigi companion video sooner rather than later. One of the main ways in which Thousand Year Door is mischaracterized is that it's some kind of grand epic story that puts it so far above every other Mario RPG Nintendo has ever made. But you see, that's not really true. It's a collection of entertaining smaller tales and characters which then make up the tapestry of an awesome video game. But the through line and structure, i.e. the main plot of the game, is the same as it ever was. Mario and friends collect 7 stars to open up the 1,000 Year Door. Then inside, we fight the final boss, and coincidentally Bowser, then rescue the princess. Same shit, different day. In fact, I would go as far as to call this the simplest game in the entire series, at least in terms of level design and overall size of the world. But it's what's on the inside that counts, not what this is in the broadest strokes. It's about what they do with this overall framework. And they squeezed a lot out of a relatively small game for starters. And right away, as soon as I started, aside from the noose, 1,000 Year Door was such a Nintendo taboo. After all this time, I really understood what Arlo and Arlo types were talking about when they talked about 1,000 Year Door. I know I make fun of Arlo a whole lot in this video, but that's more for convenience sake, I hope you realize. I have nothing against Arlo, he's just the loudest singular voice in the Paper Mario fandom. He's really just a stand-in for fans of the series as a whole. I'm into Arlo, I watch most of his videos, and I get why he hammers home this talking point so much. Because the first thing you do in this game is stop a pink Goomba from being raped. Then you get robbed about 2 real-life minutes later. There's a blink and you miss it moment with mafia-looking piñatas from Mario Sunshine. The environment is covered with trash and grime. This is the most risque Mario has been, at least since the sodomy from 64. It's tonal whiplash coming from Origami King, and it is cool as frick. I see why people opine over this, because it's something that we never see. Put bluntly, it's weird seeing Mario exist in this location. I don't think I've ever seen Mario in the ghetto outside of like one of a million Grand Theft Mario parodies. The Mushroom Kingdom doesn't normally contain slums. It's a Nintendo taboo. If every other Mario game was like this, then he wouldn't be Mario. And this game would be much less cool. But because they never did this again, it's striking. Now, it's not groundbreaking to set a video game in a shitty neighborhood, but it kind of feels like it when the main character is Mario. Now, is the setting or off-the-wall crazy character designs we've been seeing all over the place why 1,000 Year Door is so great? No, of course not. It's good because it's funny and the game constantly places you in entertaining scenarios. The weird characters and shithole setting are elements. They're details. They can be elements that you like, but it's not a causal relationship. 1,000 Year Door is not good because of the edginess. The edginess is good because 1,000 Year Door is good. The characters succeed not because they're weird designs, but because they're written well. And the best character in the entire game is Luigi. Someone who looks pretty normal. While you're out adventuring, Luigi is also out doing a parallel parody quest of yours. You don't see any of it as the player, but in town after every chapter, we can speak to Luigi and he tells us what happened. Mario falls asleep during these, but they're what I was looking forward to the most, and how this game plays with an unreliable narrator is hilarious. While he's telling you these tales, it sounds like he's just flat out making everything up. But no, when you talk to his stupid off-brand partner characters. Like, what is this supposed to be? A Buzzy Beetle with a wrench? He can't even use the wrench himself. It's just coming out of his back. Somebody would have to, like, hold him up and then manually twist him. That's gotta be the most inconvenient spot for a wrench. These Walmart brand partners corroborate his story, but from their own perspective, cutting through Luigi's bluster and bravado. Ironically, over the course of the game, Luigi's adventure sees him become even more famous than Mario. His adventure outshines yours. He has books written about it, which cuts through even more of the unreliable narratorness by more dryly stating what happened. Mario never says anything. He's a silent protagonist, so when he's done adventuring, he'll go back to town and not tell anyone. But Luigi will go to the bar and chew off anyone's ear who will listen, and as a result, only the real ones know what Mario's been up to. Late in the game, there's even an entire chapter where you're mistaken for Luigi. He's gotten so famous, and because Mario doesn't talk, nobody ever corrects it, so you're just referred to as Luigi for that entire section of the game. It's pretty funny. And speaking of braggarts and blowhards, we walk a few steps away from Luigi at the bar to meet the greatest character in the entire game, Flavio. You know, like Fabio, but with an L. His George Washington looking ass just sits in the bar singing to himself, a grin 1.5 miles wide. Goombella's description calls him like super rich and owns lots of ships. He calls himself the richest man in town, is worshipping this giant red skull gem, saying he should give it kisses. He stays here 24/7. Anytime you're in the bar, he's in the bar. That is until you reach the chapter where you need a boat. I saw this guy for the first time about 15 minutes after starting, and his quest line doesn't come up until over 2/3 of the way through the game, so they dangle Flavio in front of us forever. But one day, doing my daily checkup on him, he laments that despite being so rich, he feels empty inside. But he's heard of this great treasure of Cortez the Pirate King. So the entire preceding chapter is you joining this schmuck's boating exposition for the pirate's treasure, but whoopsies, the ship sinks and you're stranded on a deserted island with a guy. Then slowly, through every interaction on this island, it's him getting a little reality check, bit by bit. He assumes everyone loves him because why wouldn't they? He's awesome. Meanwhile, he's been nothing but an annoying little shit the entire journey. He wouldn't shut the fuck up on the boat while everybody just kind of awkwardly stares at him. After the crash, he's challenging people to duels over the smallest petty bullshit. Then he cowers like a little bitch at any sign of danger. This guy sucks. Then he's stunned when it turns out that everyone hates him. But through this teardown, we get growth. He gives up his skull gem to go inside the dungeon. Sure, he's still too much of a wussy cat to go in with you, but baby steps here. He's showing a little improvement. Then later on, when you're all under cannon fire, who was it but the mighty Flavio that comes up with a plan, takes ownership of the situation, stating that as the leader, it's his duty to protect, and convinces the floating skeleton man to allow you to use his ship to escape. He might have been quivering whilst doing so, but he still did it. Bada bing, bada boom, an entire character arc. And I love it when the rich asshole character is redeemed. The Thousand Year Door kind of does this arc again with the greatest character in the entire game, this posh Bob-omb family. First time we see them are as random NPCs outside the stadium. Their son is having a Veruca Salt tantrum. Dad is threatening the hot dog stand with a hostile buyout. Alright, why does it have to be hostile, man? It can't just be a friendly buyout. The mom, for some reason I didn't talk to, so who knows what she said. They're cute. One of many, many, many off-kilter NPCs we've seen to this point. But as all good things, they come back around in the train chapter, where they're arguing over what to get little Bub for his birthday. Overly extravagant gifts you only see in movies or in Toyota commercials, I suppose. But it turns out all he wants is to be a train engineer, so you go on this cute little quest to connect him with the train conductor. Already a little growth. I mean, he's a little spoiled, he's a little rich kid, but he's not all bad. There's a kernel of humility in there somewhere. Then later on still, we get even more lore, where apparently this guy got rich by building the biggest fucking cannon in the world, capable of shooting, quote, anything anywhere, including the moon, because one of the MacGuffins is on the moon. Then when you're negotiating a price to use the cannon, he doesn't even take your coins. Sure, he's a rich asshole, but here he won't do it. He's just happy to repay a favor for his son. Blammo, a full 180. But in order to use the cannon, we have to befriend the greatest character in the entire game, General White, who I think is from Dragon Ball, but I'm not entirely sure and I'm too lazy to look it up. He lives in Koopa Village, which has been gentrified. There's more toads and bob-ombs here than Koopas, including the greatest character in the entire game, this little toad who tells you to play Fire Emblem. Back to General White. I have lost my hopes and dreams. I live in solitude. Leave me alone. Wow, this guy is emo as fuck. Of course, later on, when you need him, he's nowhere to be found. Literally, he's not in the game. Tracking him down is this hilarious quest that requires you to visit every single location in the game, talk to everyone in town, only to find the one person who says, "Oh, he was just here. You missed him." This happens in every town in the game. He's effectively nowhere. But then when you finally do exhaust every possibility and find him, he says that he's been going everywhere all around the game looking for you. Eh? That's a good old-fashioned, in the spirit of Super, fuck you, it's funny joke. There's not very many of them this time around, but they got me with that one. Then it's time to use the cannon, and it's a fucking bloodbath. Oh my gosh. They cram 1,000,000 bombs in there to fire off the cannon. These bob-ombs are fucking self-genocidal. Oh my god. Like, holy shit, I didn't have to go to the moon that badly. I'll find another way, guys. Oh, the humanity. General White. Why didn't you tell me this was gonna happen? Wait a second, what's that playing in the background? Hey, I know this song. It's from Arlo. Like, Arlo plays the song in the background of like half of his videos. In fact, I've recognized a bunch of songs from the soundtrack from the backgrounds of his videos. Those weren't original Arlo creations? No, my whole life has been a lie. Wait, and this character's named King K? I thought that was a Donkey Kong reference. Wait, Rock? You too? What? No, oh man. This is like when a friend says something cool, but then you discover that they were just referencing something else, and they didn't actually come up with it themselves. Kind of like this whole channel. In fact, I didn't think of anything new to say in this entire video. Seriously, every single line I just took from Red Guy. You know, Red Guy in his complete Paper Mario retrospective. Everything I said in this video, I just lifted from that. All of it, yeah, including the bit about Big M and this tirade I'm on here somehow. Even that was in there. Speaking of frauds, not Red Guy me, I'm the fraud. You want proof? Look at this stretched footage. Why is my footage stretched? It's because I'm stupid. I played this game with a Wii using component cables, not realizing that not every GameCube game supports widescreen, and if it doesn't, then your Wii will just stretch the image. I had no idea that was gonna happen, and I didn't even really question it until about halfway through the game, in which case I looked it up and realized that Thousand Year Door doesn't natively support 16:9. I just thought the stretched image looked native. I thought it looked good enough to pass for native, and I felt like a fucking moron for not realizing it sooner. I'm sorry, I know, I'm sorry. I mean, it bothers me more than anyone that the footage is stretched, but I was so far into the game, I was too deep in, I couldn't switch then. It would be like admitting defeat. But you gotta hand it to me. I got through this entire retrospective without having to use an emulator once. No emulation, all real hardware. Now give me my Real Gamer award, please. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, speaking of frauds, it's time to introduce you to the greatest character in the entire game. Dupless. He's a shape-shifting ghost, which is actually a reoccurring enemy type from the first game. One of the chapters in this lifts verbatim the Chrono Cross body swap moment, where you're fighting the bad guy, kick his ass, but then whoops, he pulls the old switcheroo. Anyway, here it's jarring. You had this roster of friends helping you along the way, but then this guy just comes along and snatches it. They even took Chrono Cross's juxtaposition of suddenly having your would-be silent protagonist talk when being controlled by the enemy, and for some reason this doesn't throw any of your partners off. It's a great setup for one of the best chapters in the game. But amazingly, every chapter in this is a winner. I even liked the stupid tree one that everyone else seems to hate. They're all real good, except for maybe the last one, but I think that's more just because the titular Thousand Year Door happens to be the least compelling story that is told in this game. It's great as a mechanism for placing Mario in a bunch of different awesome scenarios, but it only really works as glue. it's not interesting in and of itself. The worst plotline in the game is the main overall one, so this chapter dedicated to resolving it will naturally be the weakest. It's not without its moments. Peach being possessed by a demon ends up being the final boss, so getting to see Goth Peach was a definite bright spot. And you know what? I'm gonna say it. Peach is the greatest character in the entire game because she trades sexual favors with an artificial intelligence just so she can send naughty Snapchats to Mario. And that's badass. Badass like the greatest character in the entire game, Boberry the Bob-omb. He's the only Bob-omb who openly wants to die, because his wife did, only he never goes boom. Every other Bob-omb is willing to die for Mario, but not this one. There's a bit of an inherent irony to being a Bob-omb sailor, because as Bobby said in Origami King, they don't like to get wet. I was spoiled on this guy, unfortunately. It was pretty much the only thing I knew about Thousand Year Door before playing, that this Bob-omb's backstory will make you cry. Now, don't shoot me, but I thought it was kind of hokey. Not so much the backstory itself, but how quickly it comes up and is resolved. Who knew all it takes is one fetch quest to a place 2 doors down to get over your dead wife. He's badass because he has the most amount of HP, and is a great meat shield in battle. Partners are functionally the same as they were in 64 on a surface level, but here they're treated much more like characters than Metroid power-ups, the inverse of 64. Overall, they're not quite as good in battle. For example, Vivian has the same appeal as Bo from the original, as in I want to take them both to a toad house and have the man himself watch. I mean in that they both turn you invisible, but in Thousand Year Door, using this ability in battle makes you lose Mario's turn too instead of just Vivian's, which makes it much less useful. Lots of abilities have been rebalanced to favor your enemies. Not that it makes this game approach difficult or anything, but the characters in battle have been noticeably nerfed. The battles themselves are basically the same thing as 64, only with more stuff. There's more action commands, more enemy variety, more badges, and they don't cap you at 30 BP anymore, which is nice. And yes, all of this does give the Thousand Year Door the best battle system in the entire series, and it's really not close. To take advantage of this, there's this whole-ass tournament arc, which consists of you one by one battling everybody until you're the champ. That's not how tournaments work, which pets my peeve, but I digress. The chapter is so awesome that I don't care. There's a subplot about fighters going missing, a shifty assistant. The whole thing is being ran by what looks like the invincible Tubba Blubba's son. You hatch a Yoshi out of an egg. I didn't know about the cool colors, so I just got basic bitch green. Man, Mario is a horrible father, because at the end of this game, he just abandons Yoshi in the ghetto while we go back to our house to live with the real hero of the day, Luigi. Ironically, the tournament arc has somehow the most intricate level design in the game, and don't ask me how that happened. It's more three-dimensional and open than pretty much every other area. The most common criticism of this game in the ether is the amount of backtracking that it makes you do. And I don't know if it's so much that. I think it's more just that the game is so flat, yes, paper pun intended, that whenever you need to go anywhere that isn't directly forward, it's considered backtracking. Any standard give item A to person B fetch quest, which is common in all these games, is inherently going to be more annoying here than it would be in most others, because the entire fucking game might as well be arranged on a straight line. When I called 64 a game about walking down hallways, oh my god, if only I knew what was around the corner in Thousand Year Door. Take the tropical island location as an example. In the original Paper Mario, it was more of an interconnected 3x3 grid, with 1 or 2 screens branching off, whereas here, the entire island is a straight line. So, whenever the game dictates you need to go back to town while adventuring, in 64, you're never more than a screen or 2 away. In Thousand Year Door, you always need to do a complete about face and do the same cut and paste linear trek backwards. And then once it's time to go back adventuring again, you're forced to go through the same area you just did over again. And the worst part is they make you go back and forth between town and the dungeon a few times. It's lame as hell, but I hear the remake added more warp pipes so you can get around easier. That's an incredibly inelegant workaround, but it's better than nothing, I suppose, and it does the job. This is all a fundamental core design problem that's present in the entire game. Thousand Year Door's strong suit was definitely not the level design. But it's okay, because remember, we don't play the "but it has problems" game here. We don't do it. If the good elements are great enough for the rest of the product to shine through, then it still makes your game a masterpiece, which this is. And it's because of the characters, such as they brought back Goombario's sister. Well, at least that's what I thought until the Mario Wiki told me that they're different people. Goombella is the greatest character in the entire game because she fills Goombario's role from 64. Dialogue for every character, every screen in the game, she has something to say. Sometimes it's lore building, sometimes it fleshes out a character, such as with the greatest character in the entire game, Boobarella. Actually, I don't remember her real name, but she's like a cloud with boobs. That's epic, and I'm in love. Not with her, though. I'm in love with Koops, the greatest character in the entire game, because he has a big dumb turtle shell that I abused the entire time. Thanks, Koops. Now, take off that hoodie because it looks fucking stupid. You know, I never claimed to not be a hypocrite.
So that was the entire Paper Mario series. Now, after playing all of the games, I can say with confidence something that everybody already knew, that the Thousand Year Door is the best Paper Mario game. But if there's one takeaway I got from doing this entire thing, it's that you shouldn't let that take away from what the future games in this series accomplished as well. Because I think that basically all of these games, except Sticker Star, are pretty good. And I'd recommend you play any of them if you can. My two favorites were Thousand Year Door and Color Splash, but, you know, the other ones are all decent in their own right. I can see why, from a longtime fan standpoint now, that it's disappointing that they didn't continue on in the direction of Thousand Year Door. But at the same time, they made Thousand Year Door. They did what you want. You did what they set out to do, and they did it very well. These games over here are a little more introspective. I would argue that they're not even really trying to be the same thing. You're arguing different things. Like, the overall discourse in this series stunk. That's really why I wanted to get into this, why I wanted to make this video, because I could smell BS discourse from a mile away, and I didn't like it. I think that these games do a great job of being introspective. These games are like wild, not this one's pretty generic. These games are like wild and crazy, and they experiment and they do all sorts of different things. This one I think kind of fails spectacularly. This one mostly succeeds, but that, you know, that doesn't take away what these games did. I think they're still pretty good in their own right. And that's all I got, man. Like, that was the Paper Mario series. Shout out to the patrons. Shout out to William Robert Lee. I cannot wait to get back to making regular videos again. Never trust anyone needs a haircut. Goodbye.